Virtual reality describes a 3D computer-generated environment that a user can interact with. One of the early origins of VR was a stereoscopic viewer, which was a device used to view stereoscopic pair of images, which are two different 2D images that the brain interprets into one 3D scene. This concept is currently used in low-budget head-mounted VR displays. However, it wasn't until the rise of modern computing that virtual reality began to take off. An initial milestone was the Sensorama, which was a machine that played short immersive films for its users with smells, a movable seat, and a 3D display. Later on, the head-mounted VR system was created. However, it was so large that it had to be suspended from the ceiling. Much later on, virtual reality made its debut into the gaming industry in the form of arcade-style machines. Finally, in 2011, a rough prototype of the Oculus Rift VR headset was created, and virtual reality as we know it was launched.
The market for production and consumption of virtual reality is currently increasing as the technology is becoming more popular throughout the general public. Many companies such as Facebook, Google, PlayStation, YouTube, Apple, Pinterest, and many more want to profit from virtual reality, but their products are still very expensive as virtual reality is relatively new. There are many potential devices to be used, such as computers, phones, a phone and a headset, or a full virtual reality headset. However, full VR headsets are more realistic and the most advanced technology, which makes them the most expensive. Apple has produced a product called the AR Kit, which is a game development platform which allows anyone, even with minimal programming experience, to create AR apps for iOS devices. This shows how AR is becoming more accessible to all, as anyone can create the apps. However, Google is working on patenting a full VR headset, which is not yet complete. They are currently working on the Google Cardboard, which has increased affordability and accessibility, but is significantly less realistic than competing VR headsets. It is more so meant to introduce to the general public the idea of virtual reality and augmented reality.
The future of VR is very simple and complex at the same time. It's simple in a sense to make it more available to everyone and make it more affordable to everyone, but it's complex in the way that you actually do it. Some ways that would help that is competitions between companies to bring down the price of the VR sets, because as competition grows, prices usually go down. This would lead to optimizing headsets to work on less powerful computers, because people don't have to buy $2,000-$3,000 computers and can just run it on their own $500 laptop at home. Making VR more affordable would lead all to these new uses, including virtual business meetings, like you could go to a conference across the world and talk to other people and interact and save thousands of dollars on a hotel and travel. Along the lines of that, same thing with virtual travel. You could go to a place across the world like Europe and experience everything there and interact with the environment, interact with other people, and not actually go there. There's basically an underlying thing, augmented reality. This is what the future of VR would look like.
When one thinks about virtual reality, they usually conjure up this image of a bunch of people playing an interactive video game or watching a 3D movie, but VR has many uses outside of stimulating content. Rehabilitation and coping for PTSD victims is one such example, as innovators around the world are trying to implement VR as a way of treating patients after disaster. One such example are researchers out of Aichi University of Technology to help their citizens cope with disaster after having seen the effects that a recent tsunami had on the Japanese people. There's also application in sports, as virtual reality allows athletes to go through real game situations to practice in an intense environment. There's also serviceability of virtual reality in easy access shopping, as you can go and roam through stores in the convenience of your own home. Lastly, one of the most instrumental uses is in education, as it allows kids at all ages to learn from primary schoolers discovering the corners of the world to med school students getting an in-depth look at the human heart.
One of the obstacles that virtual reality is facing these days is its cost. Prices for a decent PC setup that can run a high-quality virtual reality experience can exceed $1,000. Prices for a VR headset can also exceed $400. Also, graphic cards highly contribute to these high costs since they are highly expensive. As well, the development cost for VR content is also estimated to be really high. The development cost for a horror game can range between $20,000 and $80,000. Some solutions to fix this problem is that we make VR equipment that can be compatible with already existing devices, such as smartphones. One example for this solution is Google's Cardboard, and Facebook is already planning to launch entry-level VR headset that is priced about $200. Finally, virtual reality should be given some time. Most technologies, when they are first released, are often released with high prices. Given it some time, virtual reality could be seen as an affordable option in the near future.